Hi everyone, I'm New. Today I want to share a fantasy romance anime, Sankarea, Undying Love. The male protagonist of the story is crazy. He has loved zombie-themed works since he was a child. The biggest dream in his life is to find a zombie girlfriend and live a happy life. He thought that his dream would never come true until one day he accidentally meets a female zombie who has a perfect figure. The male protagonist immediately brings the female zombie home. What will happen between them next? Let's take a look together. The male protagonist of the story, Chihiro, lives in his father's temple. He also has a grandfather with dementia and a 12-year-old sister at home. Apart from his family, Chihiro also has a cat named Babu. But on this day, Babu died in a car accident. Chihiro sadly buries Babu. But then he has a bold idea. There is a book in Chihiro's home describing how to make a resurrection potion. Although Chihiro is not entirely convinced of the existence of the resurrection potion, he is willing to try to make one for the sake of Babu. That night, he digs Babu out of the ground and goes to an abandoned building to make the resurrection potion. While Chihiro is researching the formula of the potion, he suddenly hears footsteps outside, and a beautiful girl dressed in red is talking to the well downstairs. This beautiful girl is Rei, and is the daughter of the principal of a women's college. Rei confides that her father would take a photo of her without clothes on her birthday as a souvenir. Rei's father is a control freak and his protection of Rei is too much. As Rei grows up, whether it's her maid or a wildcat, anything she adores will eventually disappear. Little did the young Rei know that many of her father's actions were incorrect. It isn't until she grows up that Rei feels strange. A female classmate in junior high school was the first friend Rei made. At first, Rei's father did not stop Rei from getting along with this female classmate. It was probably because the female classmate's family is wealthy. But one day, Rei told her female classmate about her father's photo shoot, and the female classmate encouraged Rei to stop her father even if they quarrel. After listening to the female classmate, Rei refused her father's order for the first time. However, Rei's father ignored Rei's idea. Rei's father knew that it was the female classmate who encouraged Rei, so he used his influence to force the female classmate's family to leave the city. Poor Rei thus lost her first friend. Rei realized that she couldn't change her father's controlling issue at all. Chihiro is so surprised that he accidentally drops the drink to the ground. Chihiro and Rei meet in this situation, and they both feel very embarrassed. Chihiro then tells Rei about his intention to make a resurrection potion to revive Babu. Rei is very interested in both Babu and the resurrection potion. She offers to assist Chihiro in resurrecting Babu. But Chihiro and Rei have studied for several days and still cannot make the resurrection potion since they lack an herb. Just as Chihiro decides to give up making the resurrection potion, Rei suddenly recalls that there is one last hypertoxic herb underneath the abandoned building. In order to pick this herb, Rei almost falls off the cliff. Luckily, Chihiro grabs Rei's hand in time to save her. With the last herb, Chihiro succeeds in crafting a resurrection potion. Out of curiosity, Rei also takes a little resurrection potion. However, after Chihiro feeds the resurrection potion to Babu, Babu's body does not react. Chihiro is so disappointed that he decides to put Babu in a box and take it home for reburial. Before that, Chihiro drops Rei downstairs at her house, and this scene happens to be seen by Rei's father. Chihiro returns home and meets his cousin, Ranko. Ranko guesses that there is a secret hidden in Chihiro's box, so she tries to open it. The moment the box is opened, Babu jumps out of the window. Chihiro's resurrection potion actually takes effect. Meanwhile, Rei is imprisoned for meeting a boy. Her father orders Rei to stay at home from now on, not even letting her go to school. Rei is desperate. She remembers that the resurrection potion contains hypertoxic herbs, so she drinks the resurrection potion directly. After Rei drinks the resurrection potion, she wakes up the next day to find that she is not dead. She has to pretend that nothing has happened. Rei is imprisoned at home because her father discovers that Rei is close to Chihiro. Of course, it is not enough to just imprison Rei. Rei's father also asks the butler to send someone to teach Chihiro a hard lesson. The news is overheard by Rei, who has to sneak out of the house again to protect Chihiro. On the other hand, Chihiro is happy about the resurrection of Babu, and although Babu is now successfully resurrected, he is currently in zombie form. Ranko believes that since Babu has become a zombie, he can bite like a zombie in the zombie movie. Chihiro thinks this is impossible and gets into a dispute with Ranko. When they argue, Babu suddenly flees. Chihiro hurries to catch up with Babu, and he isn't going to go to school today, so Rei doesn't see Chihiro at school. She goes outside the school to look for Chihiro. As a result, her whereabouts are discovered by the butler, who immediately tells Rei's father the news of Rei's escape. Then Rei thinks about going to the abandoned building and possibly meeting Chihiro. Coincidentally, Chihiro has indeed followed Babu to the bottom of the abandoned building. He discovers that Babu has come here to eat the hypertoxic herbs. At this time, Chihiro hears Rei's voice from above, and he looks up and finds Rei walking on the cliff. Soon Rei's father arrives. Rei's father tells Rei that he will forgive her as long as Rei is willing to come home obediently. But Rei knows that once she goes back this time, she might never be able to come out again. So she breaks free from her father's hands and fights with his father for the right to freedom. But in Rei's father's view, the freedom Rei wants is to be close to other people. He is a control freak, so he plans to forcibly take Rei home. Just then, Babu rushes to the cliff and wants to protect Rei. Rei's father is also a neat freak, so he hates animals the most and gets very angry. Rei is surprised that Babu actually has come back to life. In order to stop his daughter from touching the dirty animal, Rei's father directly pulls out his weapon and plans to attack Babu. Rei quickly blocks in front of Babu, and Rei's father accidentally hits Rei. In an instant, Rei falls off a cliff. Then she sees Chihiro, but it is too late. Chihiro sees Rei fall to her death in front of him. He is too sad to believe that Rei has died. Just then, Rei's fingers move. Then she actually stands up. Although Rei has a fatal injury, she is indeed alive. At the moment, Chihiro doesn't know that Rei has drunk the resurrection potion before, so he is very surprised. Rei steps forward and hugs Chihiro and asks Chihiro to take her in, and Chihiro immediately agrees. But the whole process of Rei's resurrection is also seen by Rei's father and the butler on the cliff. Although Rei's father pushes Rei off the cliff with his own hands, he still doesn't want to let his daughter go. He believes that it is the deception from Chihiro to Rei that causes this consequence. At this point, Rei arrives at Chihiro's house. She is very happy that she has not only gotten away from her father's control, but also comes to a boy's house for the first time. With Chihiro's help, she manages to stitch up the wound. Chihiro is worried about Rei. He believes that Rei's situation is still very precarious. Because Rei's body becomes cold and her heartbeat stops, she is a complete zombie. But now Rei just wants to enjoy her free time. After Rei turns into a zombie, she can feel what Babu is thinking. Rei can communicate with other zombies, and Rei doesn't feel bad about becoming a zombie because she knows that zombies are Chihiro's favorite. Rei also wants Chihiro to take her to do what other normal girls do. Chihiro suddenly feels a little shy as he looks at Rei because Rei is his dream girl. The two get closer and closer, and just as they are about to kiss, Renko suddenly appears and they fail to kiss. Chihiro hurries out to stop Renko from entering the room in case she spots Rei. After this, Rei realizes that she is slightly abnormal. It turns out that she did not want to kiss Chihiro just now, but wanted to bite him. Renko comes to Chihiro to inquire about Babu, but Chihiro doesn't know what will happen when Babu turns into a zombie. At this time, Chihiro's classmates also come to see Chihiro, and it turns out that they hear Rei when she is looking for Chihiro at school. They don't know that Chihiro has known Rei for a long time, and thought that Rei and Chihiro are a couple. Chihiro shyly denies it. Meanwhile, Rei, who is waiting for Chihiro at home, is jealous since she doesn't know if Renko, who leaves with Chihiro, is Chihiro's girlfriend. Rei then thinks there should be no one at home and plans to take a shower. As a result, she meets Chihiro's grandfather as soon as she starts bathing. The elderly grandfather with dementia recognizes Rei as his deceased wife. Rei quickly pushes Chihiro's grandfather away and runs back to Chihiro's room. Late at night, Chihiro returns to her room to find Rei lying on the floor, and it has become very difficult for her to speak. It turns out that Rei's body cannot move now. Chihiro finds that Rei's body gradually begins to stiffen, which is exactly the phenomenon of stiffness after death. If Rei is not taken care of cautiously, her body will slowly begin to decay. Rei will experience post-mortem stiffness when she first becomes a zombie, but it will ease after 24 hours. In order to protect Rei's body, Chihiro immediately turns on the air conditioner, adjusts the temperature to the lowest, closes the curtains, and puts a note on the outside of the room that doesn't allow anyone to enter. After Chihiro hides Rei, in order to find a way to preserve her body, Chihiro also borrows a book on embalming from his sister. Unfortunately, Chihiro eventually discovers that the books are not helpful in preserving Rei's body. In order to prevent Rei from being discovered by his family, Chihiro later hides her in a cupboard. Soon after, Chihiro hears the shocking news that the resurrection potion was actually invented by his grandfather. But because his grandfather has dementia, he can't remember anything about the resurrection potion. At this point, Renko comes to Chihiro again, and they talk for a while before parting. Renko then enters Chihiro's room alone. She originally plans to borrow a few zombie movie DVDs to watch at home, but suddenly finds that there is girl's hair in Chihiro's room. Out of curiosity, Renko slowly looks at the locker and opens it to see that there is nothing. It turns out that Rei is staring at Renko from the ceiling, and she instantly crushes Renko to the ground. Renko recognizes Rei as a famous rich lady in the city, and through Rei's strange behavior, Renko guesses that Rei has become a zombie. In the next second, Chihiro hears a voice coming from his room and quickly runs back to the room. He notices that Rei is pressing tightly against Renko and quickly pulls Rei away. As a result, Rei seems to have lost her mind, and she suddenly rushes to Chihiro and kisses Chihiro. When Renko discovers this, she lectures Chihiro hard because she thinks Chihiro actually kills Rei to test the resurrection potion. Just as Chihiro is explaining to Renko what has happened, Rei spots Babu outside the window and climbs out with him. Chihiro hurriedly chases them out, only to find that Rei, led by Babu, is eating hypertoxic herbs in the wild. After eating the herbs, Rei instantly regains her senses. It turns out that hypertoxic herbs can maintain the efficacy of resurrection potion. It just so happens that at this moment, Grandfather is temporarily back to normal, and he tells Chihiro that the effect of the resurrection potion is not perfect. If the resurrected people are not carefully taken care of, they will lose their rationality and athleticism. If Chihiro wants to keep the resurrected people healthy, he needs to do 3 things. The first is to let them exercise properly. The second is to provide an environment with low temperature. And the third is to let them constantly consume hypertoxic herbs. Chihiro must keep an eye on Rei's state in order to take care of her. Grandfather then returns to a dementia state. In addition, Rei is discovered by Chihiro's father. In order to keep Rei at home, Chihiro has to ask his father's permission. Chihiro's father, a monk, is very kind and immediately agrees to Chihiro's request. In this way, in order to keep Rei healthy, Chihiro records how Rei's doing at all times, and often goes out for walks at night. However, Chihiro accidentally gets injured during the walk, and Rei immediately uses her saliva to help Chihiro clean up the wound. In fact, when Renko saw Chihiro kissing Rei before, she felt very jealous, because Renko has always had a crush on Chihiro. She and Chihiro have known each other since they were very young. Renko and Chihiro first met at a cemetery. At that time, Renko accidentally got lost in the cemetery and was very scared. It wasn't until a brave boy showed up that she felt safe. That was when Renko fell in love with Chihiro. But she didn't expect that this boy was her cousin, and Renko discovered that Chihiro wasn't afraid of cemeteries because he loved watching zombie movies. Chihiro had no other hobbies other than watching zombie movies and was also a crying coward. As a result, Renko soon stopped liking Chihiro. Later, Renko moved with his parents to Chihiro City and happened to become neighbors with Chihiro. At this time, she no longer liked the timid and introverted Chihiro. Chihiro usually stayed at home, and when he went out, he was to buy zombie movie DVDs. But Renko liked cartoons, and they also quarreled over it. On the way home, they met a grumpy black dog. Chihiro was scared and wanted to escape, but Renko remained where she was. Chihiro plucked up the courage to pick up a stick on the side and swing it at the black dog. In the end, Chihiro succeeded in driving away the black dog, and his bravery made Renko fall for Chihiro again. After that, Renko would occasionally accompany Chihiro to watch zombie movies. At the end of the film, Renko asked Chihiro how he felt about the love of the hero and heroine in the film. However, Chihiro said that he preferred the female zombies to the heroine in the movie. This made Renko feel slightly sad. As the two grow up, they also remain friends. After Rei appeared, Renko felt particularly unwilling, so she vowed to compete with Rei to see who Chihiro would eventually fall in love with. However, poor Renko seems very unlikely to win in this competition. During this time, Chihiro films Rei every day with his camera. Because Rei has just become a zombie, Chihiro needs to keep an eye on Rei's condition. In addition, Chihiro also has to pay attention to Rei's body for signs of decay. Because of this, Chihiro prepares to go out with Rei to buy clothes and take the opportunity to observe Rei's body. Unbeknownst to them, Rei's father has already arranged for his men to keep an eye on them. They shop for a while. Chihiro buys clothes for Rei. There are pockets inside the clothes that can be filled with dry ice, so that the temperature of Rei's body can be controlled even in hot environments. Rei is very moved. She just wants to cry but finds that zombies have no tears. Soon after, Rei feels a little hungry, so Chihiro goes around to buy something to eat and asks Rei to wait for him. While Rei is alone, Rei's father's men hurriedly step forward to grab her, but they underestimate the power of Rei. After Rei becomes a zombie, the strength of her body is as strong as that of a superhero. Chihiro hears Rei's cry for help and hurries over. But by this time Rei has already knocked out all of his father's men. Chihiro is shocked, but these people also have plan B. Unable to defeat Rei, they choose to capture Chihiro and report the situation to Rei's father. Before the end of the story, let's take a look at Chihiro's sister. Chihiro's mother died early, so Chihiro's sister is more mature and stable than her peers. Even so, deep down in her heart, she has always longed for maternal love. Just as Chihiro brings Rei home, Chihiro's sister feels a familiar feeling. On this day, she talks with her classmates about zombies, and one classmate tells her the strange things she usually sees. Their art teacher comes to school every day carrying a satchel containing strange creatures. What's even more terrifying is that she even sees the art teacher secretly eating raw meat. The classmates are more convinced that the art teacher may be a zombie, so they go to investigate the art teacher together. As a result, they are accidentally discovered by the teacher while peeking. Chihiro's sister and classmates are taken into the car by the teacher, who tells them that the strange creature is her crocodile pet. She is worried about putting it at home alone, so she secretly takes the crocodile to school. The art teacher prepares sashimi that can be eaten by both humans and animals, half of which is fed to her pet, and the rest is kept for herself. Although Chihiro's sister and classmates do not see the real zombies, a misunderstanding cannot stop their curiosity about the zombies. Another classmate talks about something strange she has encountered on the street. She says she smelled the corpse on the road one day. She followed the smell to the door of a family and saw a trash can outside the house full of bones. The classmate was frightened, and she was also discovered by the owner of the house. For those smells and bones, they were there because a restaurant owner was trying to make new dishes. Although the new dishes smelled bad, they tasted delicious. Finally, it is Chihiro's sister's turn to talk about zombies. Chihiro's sister says that the zombie is in her home and that her brother brought it back. When the classmates hear it, they don't believe her. When Chihiro's sister comes home, she sees hypertoxic herbs growing on the side of the road, and suddenly remembers that her deceased mother liked this herb the most. Because her mother passed away early, she only vaguely remembers that her mother touched her forehead with her cold hand. So Chihiro's sister comes to her mother's grave to mourn their mother. That's when she meets Rei. At this moment, Rei's figure reminds Chihiro's sister of her mother. Chihiro's sister instantly feels slightly shy and panics. Rei looks at Chihiro's sister's strange behavior and thought she has a fever. When Rei touches her forehead with her hand, the cold touch instantly makes Chihiro's sister feel that Rei is exactly like her mother. The appearance of Rei makes Chihiro's sister briefly feel the feeling of maternal love. Later, Chihiro's sister shows Rei's photo to her classmates, saying that Rei is a zombie. After the classmates see the beautiful Rei, they don't believe that there are zombies at all. The whole story will come to an end soon. Chihiro is taken by Rei's father and imprisoned. During this time, Chihiro meets Rei's stepmother. Chihiro learns about Rei's father's past from her. Rei's father is the heir to a wealthy family, and the maids in the family are all alternate wives for him. Rei's stepmother used to be a maid too. When Rei's father was young, she tried to make Rei's father feel good about her through her own efforts, but Rei's father had no interest in her. Rei's stepmother thought that Rei's father didn't like women, but during a fencing competition, Rei's father fell in love with a teenage girl in a wheelchair and proposed to her. He married the girl despite his family's objections and later gave birth to Rei, but the girl died of illness at an early age, and Rei's father found it difficult to accept reality and became very decadent ever since. Later, under the good care of Rei's stepmother, Rei's father cheered up and married her. Rei's stepmother thought she won the love of Rei's father, but she didn't. It turns out that Rei's father married her only because he wanted Rei to have a mother. After marriage, Rei's father only focused on Rei and never regarded Rei's stepmother as his wife. Later, Rei's stepmother saw the scene where Rei's father took pictures of Rei, and she completely despaired of this marriage. She finally realized that Rei's father used Rei as a substitute for his former wife. Therefore, Rei's stepmother hates Rei, and in order to take revenge on Rei, she even tries to seduce Chihiro. However, Chihiro rejects Rei's stepmother because he is only interested in female zombies. Rei's stepmother sees that Chihiro only loves Rei, and instantly cries out, she is indeed a poor woman. Chihiro is then taken away by Rei's father. He is led into a room with Rei's pictures all over the wall. This is Rei's father showing off his love for Rei. Immediately afterward, Rei's father, out of his insane manipulation, wants to engage in a fencing duel with Chihiro. After Chihiro is kidnapped by Rei's father, Rei rushes home to rescue him, but Rei's father has already set an ambush. After being attacked, Rei is imprisoned. Meanwhile, the duel between Rei's father and Chihiro starts. Chihiro is a high school student, but Rei's father is a fencing master. The duel isn't fair, and Rei's father is able to easily defeat Chihiro. Rei's father is disappointed in Chihiro, and he has always believed that only those with wealth and power are qualified to protect Rei. Rei's father doesn't understand why Rei would want to stay with Chihiro. Chihiro accuses Rei's father of being wrong from the start. He treats his daughter as something of his property, not an independent person. His actions appear to be to protect Rei, but in fact, he only uses his daughter as a substitute for his ex-wife, and he does something that makes Rei feel ashamed. Rei's father is angry and panics after hearing this. He does not expect his secret to be known by Chihiro. Rei's father pierces Chihiro's body with a sword furiously, and this scene is also seen by Rei, who has just escaped from the room. Luckily, Chihiro is still alive, and he quickly gets back on his feet. It turns out that when Rei cleaned Chihiro's wounds with saliva, Chihiro was also infected by the zombie virus. As a result, Chihiro becomes a half-zombie with great vitality. When Rei's father learns of this, he tries to behead Chihiro, but Rei cuts off his sword first. Rei's father is saddened. He wants to turn his daughter back into a normal human and has booked a ticket to go abroad to find a top doctor. But Rei says that she likes the free life now, even if she has always been a zombie. Old Rei is dead. The new Rei is now living in a different form and feeling happier than ever. Chihiro accuses Rei's father of not really caring about Rei's feelings at all, and that his behavior is the reason that Rei leaves the house. These words awaken Rei's father, and he finally begins to reflect on his actions. After this, Rei's father finally agrees to let Rei stay with Chihiro, and he will go to a foreign country alone to find a doctor. During this time, he asks Chihiro to take good care of Rei. However, as soon as Rei's father leaves, Chihiro suddenly falls to the ground, bleeding a lot. When Chihiro wakes up, he has returned home. At this moment, Chihiro can feel pain in his abdomen, which proves that the toxin has disappeared from his body. Luckily, Chihiro just feels a little pain, but the injury isn't serious and he is able to recover quickly. Before finding a way to stop Rei's body from decaying, Chihiro wants to accompany Rei as much as possible to do whatever she wants. He hosts a fireworks display with the help of Renko. According to Japanese customs, people wear traditional costumes when they participate in fireworks displays. While Renko is helping Rei get dressed in traditional Japanese clothes, Rei looks at her body and feels a bit sad because she doesn't know how long her body can take it. Renko knows that Rei likes Chihiro. In order to comfort her, Renko tells Rei that since this is the case, it is even more important to seize the time to create more good memories with Chihiro. After listening to it, Rei finally cheers up, and she has a delightful fireworks display with her companions. After that, Chihiro also has a lot of fun with Rei. In the abandoned building where they first met, Chihiro and Rei agree to work together to maintain Rei's healthy body and live happily together forever. This is the end of Sankarea, Undying Love. Eventually, Rei manages to get out of her father's control and live with Chihiro. Chihiro finally gets with his favorite female zombie after experiencing many doubts before the appearance of Rei. I believe that many people cannot understand why Chihiro likes female zombies, but after seeing Rei, they should be able to understand Chihiro. It turns out that zombies can be so cute. Of course, Chihiro and Rei's love will encounter many difficulties. I believe that there are many differences between humans and zombies, but love wins. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I will bring more and more exciting anime in the future. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.